good one. Okay, so on the website, Veterans Day Assembly today on this amazing day. So students, your teachers talked to you about this, but please remember this is a little bit different assembly. It's not a pep rally, it's not a sporting event. So when you hear great things like our music groups or our speakers, you're welcome, of course, to clap for them and help them know that they're appreciated, but please no screaming, no yelling people's names, things like that. We want to make sure we're respectful while we're here during this assembly. I think that's all I need to say. Let's get started. We need to introduce our two masters of ceremonies, Isaac Keith and Jim Nyberg.
Welcome, students, to our annual Veterans Day Assembly. We would like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star-Spangled Banner. After we finish the pledge, the band will immediately start Star-Spangled Banner. Please remain standing for both. The words for the Star-Spangled Banner will be on the screen, and all are invited to sing along. Now please rise, remove your hats, and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, what is Veterans Day? Why do we celebrate it?
Veterans Day celebrates the service of all U.S. military veterans. Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day on November 11, 1919, the first anniversary of the end of World War I. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual observance, and November 11th became a national holiday beginning in 1938.
Unlike Memorial Day, Veterans Day pays tribute to all American veterans, living or dead, but especially gives thanks to living veterans who served their country honorably during war or peacetime.
Every Veterans Day and Memorial Day, Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. holds an annual memorial service. The cemetery is home to the graves of over 400,000 people, most of whom served in the military. We will now watch a short video about the history of Veterans Day.
Soldiers from wars both old and new march down city streets. Flags hang from homes, businesses, even car antennas. Ceremonies remember those who dutifully served their nation. It's Veterans Day, or Remembrance Day, as it's known in much of the world, a time to honor members of the armed forces. And it all began in a railroad car with a document to end the war, to end all wars. World War I, also known as the Great War, shocked the global community with its unprecedented toll in human life. Untold millions were killed. Germany was running low on manpower and supplies, so they agreed to sign an armistice, or truce, in the French commander Ferdinand Foch's private railcar. On the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, all was quiet on the Western Front. The fighting had ended. Exactly 1 year later, President Woodrow Wilson decreed that Americans should observe a moment of silence at 11 a.m. to remember the armistice and to embrace the peace. Other Allied nations commemorated the peaceful anniversary as well. In England and Canada, citizens wore paper poppies. Poppies had become a symbol of the armistice. The poem Flanders Field described the one-time battlefield. In Flanders Field, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row. In America, the nation's first unknown soldier was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery on Armistice Day, 1921. He was a casualty of the Great War. Since that first memorial, other unknown soldiers from America's wars have been interred in the tomb. And it's become tradition for the president or one of his representatives to lay a wreath on the monument every November 11th. A resolution was passed in 1926 inviting all Americans to remember Armistice Day and the soldiers who fought so hard for peace. The idea caught on. By 1938, the day was marked with so many ceremonies and parades, Congress made it a legal holiday, giving people the day off work. After World War II and the Korean War, Americans wanted to open up the holiday to include not just World War I veterans, but all who served in combat. In 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower, a World War II vet himself, legally changed the U.S. Armistice Day to Veterans Day, honoring those who served in all American wars. For a brief time, starting in 1971, Congress moved the holiday to the fourth Monday in October, giving Americans a 3-day weekend. But most people rejected the idea. The traditional date of November 11th, the anniversary of the Great War's ceasefire, was too historically important to forget. President Ford reversed the law in 1975, returning Veterans Day back to its rightful date. Over the decades, the holiday has changed with the times. Originally, it was a call for world peace. Then in the U.S., it became a day to remember war veterans. Today, Veterans Day is set aside to honor not just those who served in war, but also those who have served their nation in peace.
This song was written in memory of the composer's grandfather who served in the U.S. Air Force during the Korean War. The grandfather rarely spoke about his experiences during the war, but when he did, he was always very proud of the people he served with, all of them heroes.
Mr. Winslow will now introduce you to our essay winners this year. Each winner will be able to read their winning essay to each of us.
Thank you, Isaac. So excited. We had over 50 essays submitted this year, so it was really tough, and we were able to pick 4 winners. Isaac said, they'll be able to share their essays. So first we'll start with Ivy Mahoney. Give her a hand. She was running already.
A veteran who I admire is my dad, Sergeant Chris Mahoney, United States Marine Corps. After the attacks on September 11th, 2001, my dad chose to join the Marine Corps. He signed up on September 13th, 2001, just 2 days after the attacks happened. I admire that he joined the Marines not knowing what was coming or what was going to happen. He wanted to defend our country. He saw something that he wanted to help with, and he didn't hesitate to jump to help. While in the Marine Corps, my dad worked on metal frames and hydraulics for Huey and Cobra helicopters. The helicopters were very loud and had a lot of oil and grease all over them. When they were flying in the helicopters, they were hot and uncomfortable. It was always a bumpy, loud ride, and nothing like flying a commercial airplane. They wanted to keep the helicopters working properly to keep everyone safe while flying in them. He served 2 tours in Iraq during the Iraq War. My dad doesn't talk a lot about it, but I admire him because I know he sacrificed for our country. I'm sure it was a challenging time for him in Iraq. My dad was able to travel the world in the Marine Corps. He lived in Okinawa, Japan for 7 months. He lived on a Navy ship. He took part in joint training operations with militaries from Thailand, Philippines, Egypt, Korea, and Australia. He learned that teamwork was very important through his time in the Marine Corps. My dad has taught me the Marine Corps motto, which is honor, courage, and commitment. I think my dad showed all 3 of these characteristics. I think he has taught me that I can do hard things and that I can overcome difficult situations. That's why the veteran I admire is my dad, Sergeant Chris Mahoney, United States Marine Corps.
Thank you so much, Ivy. Next winner we had was Rex Salmon.
The person who's a veteran hero to me is my great-grandpa Wood. He was a pilot in World War II. The coolest thing about my grandpa to me is I'm able to listen to his stories directly from him. He's 103 years old and still living on his own, so I don't have to learn any of these stories he tells me from my parents. He usually will talk about cool experiences he's had, like delivering cargo planes, flying over a small village in Africa, and his pet monkey. When my great-grandpa was in World War II, he flew planes to Europe, Africa, and even the Bahamas. It was a world war, and planes were often needed everywhere. My great-grandpa would fly cargo planes and then leave the cargo and the plane at the destination because they needed the cargo in the plane. After he left the plane, he would get back on the boat home, then fly another plane the next day. My great-grandpa once told me that he flew over a beautiful little village in Africa. The village he flew over was called Kato. When my great-grandpa got home from the war, he had a dog and named it Kato. My great-grandpa and my mom both had dogs named Kato when they were little. My great-grandpa said that Kato was a beautiful village and he'd never forget it, so he named every dog he had Kato. My favorite story of all my cousins is the story of his pet monkey. When my great-grandpa was flying cargo planes, he got a pet monkey and he loved to fly with it every day. His monkey was so tiny that it fit perfectly in his shirt pocket. One day they were flying and it was super hot, so he opened the window of the cockpit for some cool air. His monkey unfortunately got sucked out the window right above the ocean. He liked to tell everyone that it swam back to shore and it's living on an island. My great-grandpa Wood has lots of stories from the war. I know some are difficult, but he likes to share the positive stories with his family. I think that is why he has lived to be 100 years old, because he focuses on all the positive things. I love my great-grandpa and I'm proud of him for serving his country.
like to invite Jenna Richards. Now, if we could give Jenna a big hand.
My name is Jenna Richards and I am in 6th grade. I am proud to be an American. Last year, my family and I went and visited Snow Canyon State Park. A giant American flag had been suspended between two sandstone cliffs. It was a majestic sight to behold, blowing in the breeze with the red sandstone and the blue sky as a backdrop. I love America. I love her flag and what she represents. This beautiful flag stands out to me most as a symbol of freedom and courage to stand up for what is right. It reminds me of my ancestors, some of whom I would like to share about. Some of my early ancestors came across the Mayflower and were involved in the American Revolution. That American flag meant everything to them in their fight against Britain. That flag meant freedom from tyrannical rule and the freedom to worship the God that they wanted to worship. In addition, my two great-grandpas both served in the war. Unlike my early ancestors who came across on the Mayflower and who fought in the Revolutionary War, my grandpas were helping other countries and other people obtain freedom. To the people my grandpas were helping, the American flag stood for hope when hope seemed out of reach. On my mother's side, my great-grandfather, Wendell Tucson Hearn, was 24 when he was sent out to go and serve our country during World War II. He volunteered to go in the place of his older brother Keith, who was engaged to get married. Wendell served on the front lines of Italy and Africa. His job was to figure out the coordinates for battle. It was in Italy that a shell exploded above his tent, and parts of the shrapnel tore through the tent and into his body. He was in the hospital for 18 months, and he received a Purple Heart. I admire him for his courage, his love for our country, and for fighting for our freedom. On my father's side, my great-grandfather, Alan Farnsworth, was 19 when he served in the Korean War. His father, all of his brothers, and all of his sister's husbands also served in the war. The week Alan got to Germany, he ran into an old friend from college. His friend said that he was working for the dog platoon and asked his commanding officer if Alan could join him in the dog training. The officer asked him if he practiced his religion. Since he said yes, the commanding officer replied, "I don't care if you don't know a thing about dogs. I will have you in my group because I know you will be a good soldier for me and I can trust you." My grandfather was trained to teach the dogs to sniff out bombs. They also trained the dogs to silently alert their handlers when they had detected the enemy and do other missions in war. They saved countless lives. My grandpa served for 2 years. One of his scout dogs, York, was presented with an award for distinguished service after leading 148 combat patrols and never losing a man. I look up to my ancestors for their bravery, resilience, and faith. These veterans are what made America what she is today. Their sacrifice was so great. They fought for our freedom, and I remember that sacrifice daily when I look at the beautiful flag. Thank you to all the courageous men and women who rise to serve our nation.
Thank you, Jenna, very much. We have one more. We could invite Jesse Christian down. Give Jesse a round of applause.
Red, white, and blue up in the sky. Our flag waves proud, and here is why. It stands for freedom, brave and sure. It stands for me, it stands for us, it stands for all of you. The red is for the lives once lost, who paid for peace at every cost. They fought with courage, stood up tall, they gave their hearts, they gave their all. The white is for the hopes we share, to treat all people kind and fair. It means we try to do what's right and keep our dreams in clear, plain sight. The blue is for the strength we show in times of peace and through times of war. It holds the stars, each on a state, together strong we all create. It flies on schools and ships at sea, it stands for truth and liberty. It tells the world we won't give in, that justice, hope, and love will win. So when you see the flag held high, don't just walk or pass it by. Stand proud, stand tall, and you will see that flag waves forth you and me.
Awesome, thank you, Jesse. We need another round of applause to Ivy, Rex, Jenna, and Jesse. Nice work.
We will now hear a patriotic melody from our choir. The melody includes Your Grand Old Flag and the Stars and Stripes Forever.
This coming July 4th in 2026, America will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. There will be events and celebrations around our community and throughout the entire country. The Declaration of Independence set the course for the freedoms and liberties we enjoy. These freedoms are what all of the veterans have fought and died for throughout the history of America. This short video will introduce the way Utah is helping to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our independence. As we celebrate and think about our veterans today, let's remember their stories and sacrifices that helped create the amazing place we live.
250 years ago, a bold idea was declared that all people are endowed with the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As Utahns, we join our nation in honoring the history of those who came before us, remembering stories that shaped us, revering the landscapes that ground us, and rekindling the pioneer spirit that brought us west. This is the place, our place, the American story. Join us to celebrate the legacy and promise of America.
More than self, their country loved, and mercy more than life.
To close our assembly today, we would like to hear from some of our students and faculty members. We hope you will pay attention as our friends, teachers, and examples talk about how we can honor and remember all of the veterans in our life.
Thank you. And before we show this assembly, I do want to take a minute. I know that there's a couple of them here. If you are a veteran of any of our wars or service in our lives, would you please stand to be recognized? We can give them a round of applause. And we come here. Master Blaney, and thank you for everybody. Encourage the students as you watch this video to think about what our friends are trying to teach us about Veterans Day.
I am Officer Delaney.
I'm Misty Johnson and I'm in seventh grade.
Hi, I'm Kathy Ford and I teach choir and theater here at Sunrise Ridge.
I am Mrs. Tamlin Martin and I work here at Sunrise.
I was in the United States Marine Corps. I served from 2011 to 2016. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and also Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
My oldest brother is currently serving in the Army and my grandpa served with the Navy.
I actually come from a long line of veterans. I have grandfathers that served in World War II. I have a grandfather who was a guerrilla fighter during World War II in the Philippines because my ancestry is from the Philippines. My father served as a jet engine mechanic for the Air Force. My father-in-law was a Marine, my grandfather was in the Army, and I have a son who's in the Army National Guard. So, long line. I have an uncle named Asel who served in World War II. He was my great uncle. And there's a really funny story about how he was imprisoned in a Nazi prison camp. He was a prisoner of war. And so they had very limited rations. One of their rations was for cigarettes, and he didn't smoke. So he and his friend collected their cigarettes that they were rationing, and they would trade them off occasionally to other prisoners for potatoes. And when they had accumulated enough potatoes, they found a German officer who was starving, and they traded those potatoes for one of his uniforms. And they walked out of the prison here to freedom.
I served in the Air Force, and I served for 23 years from 1991 to 2014.
One of the main things that I wanted to serve our country was because I wanted to join something that was bigger than myself, and just serve the team.
I wish I could say it was something cool, but I watched Top Gun, and I was like, that's what I want to do, but it did not end up being like that, but you know, that's what got me interested in the military.
I was thinking about how lucky I am because all of my forefathers served. It meant that I didn't have to, that I can enjoy the freedoms that we have here in this country. And I've traveled over a large portion of the world, and I've seen what other countries function like that don't have the type of government we have here. And I know it's not perfect, but we have freedom and privileges that other people don't have because of the sacrifices that were made by so many of our veterans.
Having a family member who serves in our country means feeling deep pride and gratitude. It's knowing the sacrifice for something bigger than themselves, and their courage and commitment help to protect our freedoms. I've learned a lot by having veterans in my family. It taught me the importance of hard work, discipline, and courage. I've also learned to appreciate the freedom and have the respect for those who protect it.
I have learned not to take for granted what we've been given here in this country. I love our country, I love the freedoms that we enjoy, and I'm grateful for the heritage that we had of freedom and democracy that was earned on the backs of other people.
One of the main things I want people to understand that is when it comes to be joining the military, we're not forced to join. It's more of a choice we make, and the sacrifice that we endure during our time of service.
I think for me, it's probably what sets like the military apart from all other jobs is that we kind of give up our freedoms so that others can have theirs. You know, we voluntarily do it. You know, we're told where to live, how to live, what to wear, what to eat. You know, we're told when to leave our families, and you know when we can't. You know, go home for Christmas. Or so I think like for me, that's the biggest thing. It's the serving is the easy part. It's the sacrifices that can take a toll.
One of the big things I think of freedom in America is because we can be who we want to be. We can decide which path we want to take. This is become a teacher, become a police officer, or become a firefighter, or become a doctor. We have those rights to make those decisions on what we want to do in our lives.
They're important because we're able to be who we want to be. We can have jobs we want to have. We can go to school if we want to. We can be what religion we want. We can speak what we want. I mean, it basically, living in America, allows us to be who we want to be, and not every country again has that opportunity.
I feel our freedom in America is important because people fought and sacrificed for it. It allows us to live with hope and be proud of who we are.
Those freedoms allow us to get the education that we need, allow us to participate in the economy in a productive way, allow us to have life and to be able to pursue happiness, as it says in the Declaration of Independence, in ways that a lot of people don't enjoy. So I think it's really important to have liberty.
It's important to protect our freedom and liberty because they let us live safely and make our own choices and follow our dreams. Without protecting them, we could lose the freedom that allows us to live this way.
It goes back to what you want to do in your life. If we didn't have the freedom, we wouldn't have a voice, we wouldn't have opinions, we wouldn't have our own choices to make in our lives.
I think sometimes when we don't remember what's been sacrificed in the past, we can get complacent about our liberties. I think it's really important to become educated. I think it's really important to study history and to study the principles of liberty that keep us free and to uphold those at any cost.
Without our freedoms and our liberty, we couldn't be who we are. We couldn't do the things we want to do. We couldn't, just wake up every morning and be like, I can do whatever I want today. That would not happen. I just feel like freedom, really, I mean, it's a gift, and we should honor and respect that.
I think we need to be sensitive and respectful to those who fought for our freedoms, because that fighting, those wars, have a lasting effect on them. Many times they carry our baggage that we can't even see, and so I think it's important to be kind and to be thankful for what they've offered us.
Just said, like, it's a choice that we made, and also the sacrifices that a lot of us has made during our time in the service.
I think probably remembering veterans is to honor the sacrifices that they made, that I just talked about, and just letting them know that we respect what they did and the freedoms that we're given, because not everyone has those freedoms, to be who we are, do what we want. And so I think that's really what it is. It's just honoring veterans over the years and years and years that they've fought for freedom, and to respect that.
It's important to remember veterans because they sacrificed so much for our freedom and showed great courage and love for our country.
Students, I hope that you learned the message today that we want to appreciate and thank our veterans. And if there's someone in your life, a veteran that you know, please be sure and find the time today to say thank you for their service. I want to go over a couple of things. The slideshow you watched yesterday in homeroom is available on the TV, and we playing all week. Appreciate all those students that were able to submit some pictures there. I'd like to encourage you, if you haven't yet, sometime today between classes during lunch, be sure and check out the artwork done by our amazing students. It's at the front entry. Appreciate them, and can we give a big hand to our music students, band, orchestra, and choir for their work today. Also, can we give a big hand to Isaac and Jenna for being awesome. Thank you for being great students today. Thank you for participating in a respectful way. And remember our veterans. Remember to say thank you to a veteran today. I'm going to excuse you a section at a time. Please be careful if you walk past